Hello, everybody. Welcome to more Political Excess. Today, let's take a look at Joe Biden's approval rating amongst independents. Now, for this, let's get right over to Civiqs, where they poll a lot of registered voters. And first of all, in general, we can see Biden has a 30% approval rating and a 58% disapproval rating. So he is 28 points underwater there, but let's isolate to just independents. And if we do that, we can see his approval rating drops all the way down to only 19%, with 67% disapprove for a negative 48% margin. So I think we all know that is completely atrocious. It seems like it could only go up from there. But since independents are a key subgroup, let's look a little bit more into these numbers. If we look at the age brackets, we could see the youngest bracket, 18 to 34, they only have a 10% approval amongst independents, with a 74% disapproval. Now that is believable and unbelievable at the same time, since the younger demographic is usually more supportive of the Democratic Party, but this is indicative of Biden not delivering on anything that caused those younger voters to actually vote back in 2020. And what also may be counterintuitive is the older you go, the more support Biden gets, even amongst independents. The oldest group, over 65, gives Biden a 31% approval, 59% disapproval. It's still really bad, 28 points in the red, but it's definitely not as bad as the youngest group. If you look at gender, with men, it's 16% approve, 74% disapprove. And with women, it is a little bit better at 22% approve and 61% disapprove. So that's a little bit better than the men, but still really horrible. If we go down to race, we can see with white voters, he's at only 18% with 68% disapprove. That's an astonishing 50-point gap amongst white independent voters. Even amongst black voters, he's only at 32% approval with 47% disapproval amongst black independents. That's a negative 15-point spread. That's huge. And here's another shocker. Hispanic voters, only 14% approve of Joe Biden. These are independents, though, but 75% disapprove. That's a 61-point spread. That is even much worse than the white independent voters. And then other race is also very weak with 21% approve and 68% disapprove. So there's really no silver lining there for Biden amongst any groups, any subgroups. He seems basically completely despised by anybody that is not an extreme party loyalist or Biden superfan. So let's go even more into this and take a look at how Biden is doing in each state amongst independents. And if we can look at this map, you can see these are all in the negative. And if we go down and look state by state, we can see that Biden is loathed across every single state amongst independents. Even states you would think that would support him. California, only 18% of independents approve of Joe Biden. His home state of Delaware is only 15%. I don't really know how that's even possible to do that poorly in your own state with independents, especially in a state like Delaware that's exceptionally small. I could see someone of the opposite party getting really low, but this is Joe Biden in his home state. And moreover, I think that's the second worst state for Biden on here after North Dakota, which has him at a 12% approval. And if you're wondering what state is Biden's best with independents, it's Vermont, and it's 28% approve, 50% disapprove. So his best state, he's not even close to being positive with independents. And if you're wondering how these numbers stack up to his predecessor, Donald Trump, well, we can see Donald Trump never really had high approval ratings at all. It was around 40, low 40s for most of his presidency, occasionally dipping under 40. But if we focus just on independents, we could see that the lines are very similar. There's almost a one-to-one overlap between Trump's independent approval rating and his overall approval rating. That is remarkably consistent and probably unexpected, given the amount of most of the media coverage that was negative during the Trump presidency basically every day. One thing to mention quickly about Trump's numbers are These are from the end of his presidency in January 2021, which was technically when it was the lowest point of everything. So keep that in mind. But looking at these subgroups here, we can also see Trump does the weakest against the 18 to 34-year-olds with independents. However, his numbers are much higher than Joe Biden's are, and Trump is even positive with independents over 65. Amongst male voters who are independent, Trump is underwater by 6 points, and amongst female voters, it's 26%. So that is a big gap there. The racial breakdown you can take a look at here. It's what you'd expect. It's much higher amongst white voters, and it is much lower amongst black voters. And if we look at the state-by-state breakdown, we can see that Trump is actually positive in 6 states amongst independents. And if you want to find one cherry to put on top of all of this, look at Delaware, where Donald Trump has a 36% approval amongst independents. That is way more than twice the approval Joe Biden has in his home state. I mean, this isn't Arkansas we're talking about. This is Delaware. This is a blue state. And yet Donald Trump, significantly higher amongst independents. You almost can't make this stuff up. It's totally bizarre to think that that's even remotely possible. And again, this is at the end of his presidency, when everything was probably at its lowest point. And these are still numbers that are not anywhere close to Joe Biden's numbers are, certainly amongst independents. And that was also in the midst of the pandemic, before the vaccines rolled out, constant negative media coverage. It does seem counterintuitive and surprising for most people to see that these numbers are not as bad as Joe Biden's, not even close. But anyway, that's an in-depth look at where Biden is amongst independents. Feel free to look at more if you'd like, or take a look at some other sources and polls. Will Biden go up a little bit? Will he go up a lot? Or will he go even lower amongst independents? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoy this content, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.